Hello, how you doing? MrDoTheMath here, and I'm here to start a new school year with you. And in that, I want to go over one skill that I think a lot of students kind of get confused about, and that's system of linear equations. In the schools today, there's like three legit ways, or three clear ways that we teach system of linear equations. One way is by graphing. We teach through substitution method, and elimination method. Today I want to talk about two, graphing and substitution method. Okay, and let's first start off with graphing method. The graphing method of solving system of linear equations. Now, the way that I do graphing system of linear equations is I use the slope-intercept equation. That's y equals mx plus b. But for students that aren't like really mathy and don't really like to do a lot of math work, they just want to get through it, I found that the easier way, or more simpler way of solving system of linear equations by graphing would be to identify the x and y intercepts, right? First. Now, when you identify the x and y intercepts first, then you can take those 2 points and plot a line, because we learned that a line is made by 2 points. You need at least 2 points to create a line. So let's look at this example. Remember that the x and y intercept, the x-intercept is when y equals 0, and the y-intercept is when x equals 0. Okay? So let's look at solving system equations by graphing, but by graphing finding the x and y intercept. Okay? So let's look at these two lines here. Okay. We have x plus 2y equals 2, and we have x minus 2y equals 6. Okay? Now these two lines are written in standard form, right? And what I would usually do is change it to slope-intercept form. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Okay? First things first, x-intercept. Remember I said the x-intercept is when y equals 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this y to be 0. So then we'll substitute 0 in for the y. For the x-intercept, we'll have x plus 2 times 0, because y equals 0, equals 2. Okay? When we do that, 2 times 0 is 0, and we'll have x equals 2. Okay? That's our x value. So our first coordinate would be 2, 0. X is 2, y is 0. Now for the y-intercept, again, that's when x equals 0. We're going to take the same formula. We're going to substitute 0 in for x plus 2y equals 2. Okay? Now, all we have to do here now is solve for y. And when we solve for y, we have to get 2 by itself. To get 2 by itself, we divide both sides of the equal sign by the 2. So now, y would equal, so 2 divided by 2 is 1. So y would equal 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So for the y-intercept, that's again when x equals 0, your coordinate would be 0, 1. Okay? So now what I would do is I would take these 2 points and plot them on xy coordinate plane. All right? So roughly speaking, we'll have 2, 0, 1, 2, 0. That's this first point. And we have 0, 1. 0, 1. And so we would sketch our line like so. That's our first line. Now in our second line, where we have x minus 2y equals 6, first find our x-intercept. Substitute 0 for y. So now we're going to have x minus 2 times 0 equals 6. Again, 2 times 0, 0. And we're going to have, so that leaves us with x equals 6. So our y-intercept is going to be our x-intercept is going to be 6, 0. And now we have to find our y-intercept. Y-intercept is when x equals 0. So now we're going to substitute 0 in for x of this equation. So it's going to be x minus 2y equals 6. That leaves us with negative 2y equals 6. Then we just follow our algebra by dividing both sides by negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. So we bring that y down. And 6 divided by negative 2 is negative 3. Okay? So now our y-intercept for this line would be 0, x is 0, negative 3. So now we have our 2 points for this line to grab. So we'll go 6, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 0, right here. And we have 0, negative 3. 0 for the x, negative 3. 1, negative 2, negative 3. So now we have our 2 points, and we can plot our line. I missed this point. But so again, so now we see this intersection here. Since this is a rough sketch, it's kind of hard to, I would roughly say that the intercept would be somewhere between like, it looks like 4, negative 2, or 4, negative 2, or 4, negative 1. But what I wanted you to really see is how to get your points or graph these lines when it's in standard form. When it's in standard form, and plot. And if you use a straight edge, that's a ruler, your ID, the edge of your phone that does not have the power button, or the edge of your book, to plot this, to make this the XY plane, and then plot your points and connect the dots, you should get a clear solution. Okay? But what I wanted you to really see is the x and the y-intercept. Okay? Let's do another problem. And we're going to find x and y-intercept to be able to plot our points and draw our line. Okay? So, let's try it again. Here we go. We're going to use this line here. It is 5x minus 4y equals 9. And x minus 2y equals negative 3. This looks funky already. I think we're going to end up with some fractions. Okay? X-intercept is when y equals 0. Okay? So it's going to be 5x minus 4 times 0 equals 9. Alright? And 4 times 0 is 0. So then it was 5x equals 9. Okay? Divide both sides by our 5. X is 9 over 5. Or what's that? 1 and I think it's 4/5. Yeah, 1, 5, and 4/5. 1 and 4/5. Or I think that's 1.8, right? 1.8, right? So if you have a number that doesn't look like a whole number or anything like that, that doesn't mean you didn't do it wrong. It just means you're gonna end up with a fraction or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with it at all. So this would be your x value. So your point would be 1.80, right? And your y-intercept, you end up doing the same thing. Y-intercept is when x equals 0. So it's going to be 5 times 0 minus 4y equals 9. Again, 5 times 0 is 0. Then I have negative 4, y equals 9. Divide both sides by negative 4. Y is going to equal negative 9 over 4. Or, looks like negative 2 and 1/4. Or negative 2.25, I believe. Okay? Again, nothing wrong with getting a fraction. That's just what happens. Alright? So, your y-intercept will end up being 0, because x is 0, and negative 2.25. Alright? You plot those 2 points, and you have your line. Okay? Let's jump to this line. Okay. This is the x-intercept, x minus 2 times, when we're looking for the x-intercept, y is 0, negative 3, right? So then x is going to equal negative 3, because 2 equals 0, right? 2 times 0 is 0, right? So our first point is going to be negative 3, 0. And for our y-intercept, x equals 0. So you'll have 0 minus 2y equals negative 3. 2y, negative 2y equals negative 3. Divide both sides by negative 2. Both sides of the equal sign. Y will give us 3 over 2, or 1 and a half. 1 and a half, 1 and 1/2, right? So our y-intercept ended up being 0, x is 0 for the y-intercept, 0, 1.5, right? And remember, guys, whenever you divide a negative number by a negative number, you always get a positive number, okay? So that's that. And so you plot these 2 points to create his line. You plot these 2 points, 1.8, 0, and 0, negative 2.5, to get this line. Once you get those lines, you find out where they intersect. That's what solving system of linear equations is all about. Finding out where those 2 lines intersect. If they don't intersect, that means that the 2 lines must be parallel. But if they do intersect, that's your solution. That would be the place, that would be the answer to the system of linear equations. So what we've just done is we've solved by graphing. And we solve by graphing by using the x and the y-intercepts. Okay? So do the math out.